Hey guys, Jonathan here, and in today's video, we're taking a look at the LEGO Marvel Peter Parker's apartment, which LEGO sent me early to review, but of course, all thoughts are my own. This set comes out August 1st with 394 pieces and a retail price of $55. Now, it comes with 4 minifigs, all of them being repeats and or reuses except for the brand new Hobgoblin, which looks amazing, and we're going to take a closer look at all of that. But right now, I do want to point out that this is also a part of the new Marvel Modular series, where we've got these pins in the side, and this building is able to connect to other buildings, so I'm actually going to show you that later in the video how it connects up. But with that being said, let's get into the video now and start breaking it down. So to absolutely nobody's surprise, LEGO gave us yet again the same Spider-Man over and over. I don't know why they do this, you know, not even dual molded legs, no printing on the legs to change it up. Nope, just Spider-Man with the arm printing that we've been getting for 4 years now. No new mask, nothing. The one thing I will say is we do get a Peter Parker alternate head, which is nice, but considering it's Peter Parker's apartment, I think it would have been really nice if we also got some just regular civilian clothes for Peter, or just a Peter Parker minifig separate. Making a 5th minifig in a $55 set, I don't think that that's asking too much, especially when we just swap it out and talk about Mary Jane, who is created using all pieces from other sets. So, for example, like this head's been used on Hermione, it's been used on Yelena in LEGO Marvel, the torso comes from Yaz from Jurassic World, we got those gray legs and red hair. I mean, it's not a bad minifig representation of Mary Jane, don't get me wrong, but unfortunately, it's something that we all could have just made going on Bricklink, so it's not really, like, super exciting. A nice torso with, like, the Spider-Man heart that we had on the first ever Mary Jane from 11 years ago would have been cool. You know, I just think that there are ways they could have made this a little bit more worth the money rather than a lot of the minifigs being phoned in, which once again brings us to our next one, which is Anti-Venom. Now, we got Anti-Venom in the Spider-Man mech set from January of 2025. It's a really cool minifig, and I'm actually shocked LEGO is making him, but the box has him, like, webbed to the building and in web handcuffs on the back of the box, but Anti-Venom is not a bad guy. He's actually probably, like, the most morally good version of Venom that there ever was, so I don't understand why between this and Oscorp, LEGO is making bad guys, bad guys. It's just very weird. It just feels kind of lazy and phoned in. But what wasn't lazy and phoned in was the Hobgoblin. Now, this is such a cool figure. Let's take him off the glider to give him his own respect here. We haven't had Hobgoblin in 8 years. The last time was in 2017, if memory serves correctly. So we get that hood piece in orange, and it's actually the very same hood piece that Moon Knight had in the CMF, but of course, for the first time ever in orange here. We also get a rubber Batman-style cape with the, you know, spiky ends to it, for the first time ever in orange, and of course, it wouldn't be a Marvel minifig without a double-sided head. The head expressions are not all that different to me, like an open mouth with one eye kind of squinted, and then just a teeth gritted. Like, I wish that they did something a little bit more unique for one of the other sides, but they both work very well for Hobgoblin. We'll lift up that cape so you can see we've got a nice knapsack on his back there. It's a satchel. Indiana Jones has one. But yeah, really, really cool stuff. Love this. And then, of course, we've got a great torso print, too, with that belt going across the front from his knapsack. We've got the belt at the hip line, and then we've got the legs. The original Hobgoblin from all those years ago had dual molded legs with no printing, whereas this time we got leg printing, but not dual molded. I think dual molded legs with printing would have been amazing here, and I'm just trying to show you some very subtle ways LEGO could have helped justify that $55 price point without going too crazy and, like, adding a third floor to this without raising the price or something. Now that brings us to Hobgoblin's glider and, of course, the pumpkin bombs, which I think you guys are going to absolutely love, that the fire hair is removable from the pumpkin bomb. So you could just put the bomb in Hobgoblin's hand like that, and then when it's ready to ignite, you just add the fire to it. Of course, that fire piece is going to be so great for making customs of, like, you know, Ghost Rider and Human Torch and all of those things, but it's a very nice glider. We'll remove Hobgoblin so you can see it's a very, very simple build, though. One of the more simple glider builds we've gotten over the years. Little sticker on the front, and then, of course, those jumper pieces on both wings to hold said pumpkin bombs, but it is very swooshable in a really, really nice little side build for the Hobgoblin. Now we'll talk about all the side builds. We actually get a black spider, just kind of a random inclusion here. Then, of course, we get 2 little flame pieces for when Hobgoblin throws those pumpkin bombs. We get a little spider walker here, and I added some of the extra pieces just so that you can, not have the legs flailing around. But it's a pretty simple little spider walker. I don't really know why Spider-Man needs something that can wall crawl and things like that when he can do it himself. Of course, it's just to add play value for younger kids, but I would have rather these pieces been allotted to literally anything else in this set. Then we get a pair of web handcuffs, which you can place on a minifig's hands like that, and it covers both hands pretty easily. Then we also get this really cool kind of rubber web, which you can have reach across, and you can web a minifig up. It's a little easier said than done, because it wants to revert back to its original shape always. But there you go. You can web a minifig up, and thanks to this piece in the back, you can actually clip it to a wall and have them web and stuck to the wall, which is very, very awesome. So yeah, those are our web pieces there. Then we get these web pieces as well, which can very easily go into Spider-Man's hand to make it look like he's, webbing up a bad guy or something like that. And you can also add these pieces in too, and you could have them like, webbing to the wall or something like that. We've been getting these web pieces literally for years, so it's nothing too new or exciting, but nice to get them regardless. So here we've got the apartment building, the main build of the set, and aesthetically, I really like a lot of what's going on here. Of course, we've got a reference right outside with 410, because 410 Chelsea is the address that Peter Parker famously lives at in the comics. Very, very nice attention to detail. On the side here, we have a Daily Bugle advertisement where Spider-Man is webbed over Jonah's mouth. And with the blah blah there, NYC #1 newspaper, and of course that cover is an homage to Amazing Fantasy 15, the very first time Spider-Man ever appeared in a comic book. Now we can flip the building around and see a very detailed interior. So we'll start on the ground floor. Of course, we've got a pizza box there referencing Pizza Time from Spider-Man 2. Gotta love that. Then we have 2 little chairs for Spider-Man and Mary Jane to sit and have dinner. I say Spider-Man because technically this set doesn't even come with Peter Parker, since he can't change him out of his clothes. But it is nice that in the kitchen you can open these drawers up just like usual. You have to remove the chairs, of course, because it is a very tight fit, but there's storage underneath the sink. It just feels very lived in and very nice. Love that. So now we'll move up to the second floor. You may be wondering where Peter's bed is, and it actually folds up into the wall, which is cool. There's a video game controller there, and of course we've got some artwork there for the Iron Spider suit. Apparently, Peter in this universe designs his own suit and is thinking about it, or maybe it's fan art or something, who knows. On the wall, we've got lots of great references to Peter's growing up, like a science fair poster, a #1 prize. That photo in the bottom left is like a classic Peter Parker pre-Spider-Bite with a award, and the Oscorp poster there is really cool too, because the design of the building is actually reminiscent of the Oscorp building set that comes out in this wave. On the computer here, we see Daily Bugle Online Venom Spotted. Of course, that is Anti-Venom on the screen there. It's kind of like a Bigfoot photo, which is really funny. But, we know that that's Anti-Venom, not the real Venom per se. Then, of course, we've got a spinny chair for Peter to sit in. And we also have a microscope over here, which is cool. And we can remove that microscope to have just a little box. There's nothing in it, but you could theoretically put something in there. I feel like that was really just put there to take up that empty space over in the corner. It does give us a place to put the microscope, which, that has its happy home too. But overall, I feel like that's kind of a miss. Then as we move up to the rooftop, we have a pretty crazy play feature when we push this forward. You have to kind of hold the building from just the right place, but basically you can eject this entire corner out. That's crazy, because, Peter Parker's apartment gets blown to bits by Hobgoblin. That's a crazy piece of lore. It resets into place very easily, and we do have a little bit of modular sense going on here that you can remove that, and you could technically put this on top of another building, which is where we have to start to talk about one of the absolutely major issues. So as we move to the exterior of the building, there is an absolutely major issue that we have to address with this, and it is the way that it connects in modular with the other buildings. So, of course, I would really appreciate if you guys check out my review on the Oscorp building on its own, because that's where I broke everything down. But to show you how things fit together modular-wise, let's remove that camera for ease. Okay, if we put this here, look how weird it is that the street just drops off right there. The street is 2 studs too short based off of the plate that they used, so the sidewalk just randomly ends. And then, let's say you put the stoplight from Oscorp at the end here, then it just randomly picks up again. So I don't understand why LEGO wouldn't make it the actual full length. So if we go ahead and put the Across the Spider-Verse piece here, now the same thing happens again. So I don't understand how they messed up the buildings that much. Now I'm going to do a separate video on how to break everything down and, you know, actually build the optimal street. So stay tuned for that video. But I did just want to show you that I do not understand how they messed that up so bad. Ugh. All right, guys. Well, in any reality, 394 pieces, 4 minifigs, and a $55 price tag is not a winning combo. When this one goes on sale, I do think it's worth picking up, but some of those things we talked about, like the base plate piece being wrong for this, really feels like a layup miss and very, very, very confusing, and I just don't understand how LEGO put all the effort into making these modulars, and then 1 second in, like literally the second, arguably third set in the line, they already messed up the sizing. But regardless, I do think it's a pretty decent set, even if the minifigs are disappointing. I don't know. I'm like at the 60% mark on this one. It's not a bad set, and it's going to be great when you pick it up on sale. But let me know what you think. Thanks again to LEGO for sending this my way, and I'll see you guys on the next video.